Hi, everyone. Thanks again for joining us for another episode of the Daily BizLink. Today, we're featuring Kathleen Gramzay as we kick off our new Wednesday wellness series on self-empowerment and your mental health. Today, we'll specifically be talking about demystifying and destigmatizing mental health. So Kathleen, thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Well, it's really important to start with understanding how things started, because then we can understand why we are where we are. So the very first thing is to understand back in the 17th century, medicine wanted to work on bodies. And the only way they could get bodies to be able to dissect them was to come up with an answer to how the body and the mind were not connected, right? The body and the soul, they're not connected. So they came up with this idea of body-mind dualism so that the church would say, okay, you can have the bodies, we'll keep the mind and spirit. And so that's how we got separated. And so health medicine, they did a great job. They could do all their stuff. And when we got to mental health in the early 1900s, what happened was that it went into institutions, right? So mental health, it wasn't as easy to define, right? You can, if you're doing physical health, you got the parts, you can figure them out. Everybody's about that. It's supported by society. It's like, oh, I'm going to go see a doctor. I'm going to get better. It's very easy to define. Mental health, in the opposite, in the other case, was literally put into institutions. People were taken away from their families. It was isolated. It was shrouded in fear and shame. And the fact that they did all kinds of crazy experiments on people did not help. I mean, frontal lobotomies come to mind, right? So no wonder people have fear around it, and it's been isolated. So when in the 1900s, they also came around, other branches of science came back to the idea that really you can't separate. No, it's true. We are all connected. It's all one thing. It's all one health. It is, you can't separate mind, body, emotions, or behavior. It all goes together. So with that understanding, really today, what we're talking about is understanding how we operate. And so when you can understand how you operate, then you have power to do different things. So we're going to talk about mental health from the standpoint of the nervous system today, which basically is, if you want to think about the basic job of our nervous system, is to keep us safe. In keeping us safe, what it does is it looks for threats, and then if it feels like there's a problem, it's going to react in one of three ways. And those basic three ways are fight, flight, or freeze. And so when we understand that, and we understand our thoughts and our emotions and our behaviors and our bodies are all tied together, we can see definite patterns. So today we're going to just talk about anxiety and talk about the pattern. And so if you think of it like a sweet little 5-year-old child, your nervous system trying to just give you information, and you think about your awareness as your adult, right? So your awareness, our ability to watch our thoughts, to listen to our thoughts, our ability to feel our emotions, our ability to pay attention to our behaviors, and our ability to see how it shows up in our body, really that's our adult self. Our awareness is our superpower. So what I'm going to suggest for you this week for our tip is, I want you to watch your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors, and how it shows up in your body. So with anxiety, the thoughts are thoughts of worry. It is about projecting worst case scenarios onto things. So, oh my God, something happens and you're like, your mind goes to the worst case scenario. It's those thoughts when you're just 2 o'clock in the morning and you're like, oh my God, this situation, that situation. Those thoughts is what you're watching. It's worry. When you are, how it shows up in emotions is anxiety, nervousness, you could, like, the physical could be patterns of wringing your hands or tapping your leg is how it can show up in your physical body, where people are moving their leg all the time is another example of that. And then what we're trying to do is we're trying to make ourselves feel better. We're trying to calm our nervous system, but we don't really pay attention so much or know that. So then it shows up in behaviors. Maybe it's our eating behaviors. Do I gulp food down? Do I not eat it at all? Do I isolate myself? What is it that I do when I get anxious? What is it that I do? And then how does it show up in your body? Maybe there are some people, it could be like gut issues, all kinds of, gut issues. It could be high blood pressure. It could be cardiovascular disease. It could be all these different kinds of physical symptoms. So this week, I invite you all to have, for this week, just observe. And as your awareness, no judgment about it, just watch it and notice the difference. And when you're doing it, and you can just take a time and just take some deep breaths as a very easy way to shift it. And we'll talk more in the future.
Wonderful. Well, thanks again, Kathleen. Really appreciate you helping us to kick off this Wednesday Wellness series. And with it being Mental Health Awareness Month, I think this is the perfect time to do it. So looking forward to continuing the conversation next week.
Me too. Thanks so much.